Our issue was mass incarceration. And I'm going to start by saying that the caveat that this is very much a data-driven project, and we don't have all the data at our fingertips. So if we stumble on a fact or something, please be kind. So we're calling this City Sense. As we were thinking about the audience for people who could be moved to action or who could be persuaded to think about incarceration differently, we realized that a lot of those people might be most driven to change by actually looking at the numbers, looking at the costs, the true cost of how much mass incarceration is affecting our communities, and also just in terms of budget. So we decided to come up with a game that would mimic The Sims, a real-world kind of scenario-based game where you kind of control one community's budget. So you're going through, once you land on this site, you would essentially first be prompted with information about the population, information about how many people are incarcerated in the community, the population that works in the jail, and more like of a holistic look at what this community looks like. So as you're trying to figure out how to balance your community's budget, you'll have a number of scenarios thrown at you. Those scenarios could be something coming from the state. For instance, a change in state policy that introduces money for rehabilitation programs. How do you reallocate your budget when that becomes something thrown at you? Or it could be something like you have a new state attorney general who is tough on crime. And that policy is going to inevitably trickle down to your community. So if something like that happens, you'll see, your incarceration rate starts going up, and you have to change how you're allocating your budget based on that new policy. Every time you make a budget decision, it's going to actually prompt a video to pop up that tells a real-world doc-style story about how someone in the community was affected. We could set it up as one video, or potentially pull up a bank of videos that you could watch that look at different characters in the community. So an example would be people who work in the prison, a citizen who views themselves as tough on crime, maybe students in the school. One idea we had was also creating a system where one of those prompts is going to be an actual panel of citizens or experts that are giving you advice on how to budget. So there'll definitely be an actual storytelling component to create actual empathy with the characters in the community and what they're going through as a result of these hard numbers changing. So we don't have our second slide. So basically the game objective is to win. It's going to take you through a year of trying to budget for this city. And the objective is that the city doesn't go bankrupt, right? Like, you lose the game if the city goes bankrupt. But the real world takeaway that we want users to actually come away with is to be more educated about the true costs of mass incarceration. And also the alternatives. So that's why we incorporate a rehabilitation program or other kind of real world examples of, like, it doesn't have to be this way. You have other ways you can budget your money that might be more effective than incarcerating your citizens.